Welcome to online worship at First Presbyterian Church in Conrad, Montana on April 26, 2020. It's good to have you in worship in this strange and odd time. If you haven't had a chance to do the prayer or preparation for worship, I invite you to do that now. Again, welcome to worship at First Presbyterian Church in Conrad, Montana. It's good to have you here, even if we can't be physically present with one another. It's good to be able to use online and conference call resources to join and worship our living and risen Lord. As before, I would invite you to take time today to make this a worshipful experience. Take time to worship the risen Lord. Let yourself focus on this and put other things aside as you do this. As before as well, I invite you to pick a leader for the parts marked 1. You might take turns and invite a youth or even a child with a reasonable ability to read to lead this week as you go through the liturgy for the service. I'm very thankful to many of you who have contributed to the church during this time and have continued to send in or make available your offerings in various ways. Some of you may be going through financial or other hardships, and we'd like to know about that. Please let us know so that we can pray for you and so that we might be able to come alongside you with support. I invite you to continue sending in your offerings as you are able, and to do that by sending it in the mail, putting it in the mail slot to the church by the office, dropping it off in the office. But most of all, thank you to all of you who have continued to give gifts to the church, and please let us know as any of you go through hardship. We will continue online worship at least through the 26th of April, through today, at least when this is published. As you are probably aware, the governor on Wednesday made an announcement about how we were going to phase back into a more normal form of life. And that included an announcement that churches could begin worship on the 26th. However, we want to make sure that we have a careful and planned approach to that. Since that announcement came out on Wednesday, it's taking us a while to put together those plans. Even as I record this on Thursday, I'm working with the Presbytery Task Force to finalize guidance to churches, and I expect to engage our Congregational Task Force very soon with those recommendations, and also to put together a plan for when we will return to in-person worship. I expect that we'll slowly enter that process, that it may be with limited attendance to begin with, and that we'll continue online worship and conference call worship for a time, though the way that looks may change with time as well. And certainly in-person worship will look a little bit different as well, because we're going to be taking steps to protect one another, to social distance, and to limit the spread of the virus. If you have newsletter articles to provide for the next newsletter, please do that as soon as possible, and certainly this week. I expect that Wendy will be working on the newsletter next week so that we can get it out for the beginning of next month. And I invite you again, as I did last week, to join us for evening prayer, another worship opportunity that we're starting. We're going to try that again on Wednesday, April 29th at 7:30 p.m. We had 3 people join, in addition to me, this past week. To join at 7:30, please dial 978-990-5110 and use access code 749-966-pound, and make sure to include the pound sign. These details are on the front of your bulletin as well. They are also posted on the online worship page, and for those of you who receive the bulletin through the mail, we've provided the resources for that in your mailing this week again. For the materials for the rest of you, I invite you to download the app that comes from the Presbyterian Church USA on your Apple or Android smartphone or tablet. Search for Daily Prayer in your App Store. The cost is $2.99, and the icon for the app should look like the one on your screen. It's a red background with a gold Celtic cross in the foreground. We'll spend approximately 15 to 20 minutes of prayer and reading scripture and going through liturgy, and then we'll have a time of open discussion. This past week, I think we stayed on the line for roughly 30 minutes. But after the liturgy, or for other reason you need to even earlier, you're welcome to disconnect. You don't need to stay for the discussion. So with that, let us continue our worship, and I invite you to engage in the call to worship as printed in your bulletin. And with all these steps, please pause the video on your computer and do the liturgy, and then return by unpausing.